What's up, you guys? My name's Miguel, giving you your daily dose of radiation. In today's video, we are covering what is the worst things, Miguel, that can happen to you as an X-ray tech. So, the number one biggest thing is you shot the wrong patient. That one, by far, is the worst thing you can do in our beloved field of radiation, because you gave a daily dose to someone that was not the right patient. That can cause various legal actions, repercussions, and it can get kind of nasty. All right, that is like the number one worst thing you could do. Right, following that one would probably be, because that one you can't fix. You can't take back the radiation you gave to the patient. Like, it got done. The next one would probably be you ran the report under the wrong patient. So like when you pulled it up and the report got read and stamped on the patient's chart. That's another one. That one can be fixed, but it usually takes upper management, and you had to hope to God that whoever ordered it didn't look at it and do any major changes to the patient. Usually, if they're in-house and they get their x-rays done a lot, they can kind of see the images and they can kind of know, like, hey, this don't look right. The majority of the times the rad will catch it, but sometimes certain people anatomy will look the same and they won't catch it, and you'll end up running it under the wrong one, which that one, it can be fixed. You just probably have to go to your manager and he'll have to do some stuff and it'll get the report moved over to the right one. Another bad thing would probably be you shoot the wrong body part because you think it's left and it's right, or vice versa. That's another one. What other? You also have to be careful, especially if you work in the ER like I do. You may have the patient's room, because there's like a set amount of rooms, patient's names. During busy nights, which right now, as I look, there's like 7 EMSs out there, so I pretty know it's gonna be a busy night. You got to be careful. Always check the wristbands. Always check the wristbands, especially if it's busy. Because there's so many times where you'll go in and you're like, okay, the patient's in room 30. Okay, let's go. So you go, and then you're like, okay, they ordered a chest x-ray, this, and that. And then the patient name is Rinkin. You're like, okay, who's Rinkin? And then like 3 people are named Rinkin, and you're like, okay. And then you gotta check the first name, and then you check the first name. And like sometimes people have their names, especially the younger kids will have their names so similar. Always double check, because sometimes you have twins, even if you're twins, it can get kind of confusing. And especially like pulling up exams, if it's right or left, certain places, their machines, you can't, like, even if you pull them up both at the same time, you can run it under the wrong one sometimes. But that one can be fixed, you know. Unpacks and stuff, you can kind of adjust it. Just make sure you mark it right, because the worst thing that can happen is they misdiagnose a foot because you marked it wrong. Left, it was sort of right. You always have to make sure you document. I recommend putting your little marker to avoid any problems, because sometimes post-processing you forget which one's which. So always, if you can, put your little marker there, and it will save you many times, especially if you're doing bilateral work. Saves you a lot of headaches to know if this is left, if this is right, if this was oblique this way, especially for like the C-spines and stuff. What else? Some of the worst things would be if you're in the trauma room and your portable decides to either die or keep on giving you error codes and it does not let you shoot the shot. There's been many times that we've had issues with the network, issues with the portable. Sometimes you will literally only have one shot to shoot the exam, because maybe the patient's coding, maybe like there's something going on, nurses, doctors, there's a bunch of stuff going on, and you only get a small window to get the pictures done. So that's something that can be kind of stressful, or sometimes you'll feel amazing because like you got it done on the first shot, but that is something, some of the like worst things that can happen. Let's see what else we got. Sometimes you'll end up having like network issues and you'll have to like manually do stuff. That one's not too bad, but that's more of a nighttime X-ray kind of struggle that you'll have to face sometimes. Let's see what else. Being careful when you shoot your X-rays, especially with nurses or other family members in the room. I think the only time I felt really bad is if you exposed and then you didn't see that there was a little kid in the room. You kind of feel bad because there is radiation, and sometimes maybe they're sleeping, it's dark, or like they didn't understand it. There was a language barrier that happens. Even in the trauma room, when everyone's running and gunning, sometimes you have to yell, and sometimes you shoot it and they're like, hey, I forgot to leave. And I'm like, well, I said X-ray, you still didn't leave. They got the dose. They got the low daily dose. X-raying a patient and they die, that's kind of a pretty rough one sometimes, because sometimes like I've witnessed a lot of death at my job, so I'm kind of dealt with better. I know some of them are younger techs or even student techs. It's a little bit different. I will say time and time again, as a parent, as you can see back there, it always will get me when a little baby will die, because it gets you a little bit emotional, because you're like, dang, this poor little kid had so much going for him whole life, and like, you know, it gets rough. I ain't gonna lie. It's one of the worst ones, especially if you had to do an X-ray on them or had to do something. Anyways, as I was going on, those are the kind of the worst things. As once again, the worst one that you probably can never beat is shooting the wrong patient. That one, many consequences with that one. As you can see, it's getting dark. I'm probably gonna go in to go and push the beloved button at the night times. And if you're still here, thank you. I will continue making videos that educate you in this beautiful field of radiology and educating you on various aspects. If you can check out my channel, I will literally keep on posting every single day. It literally costs me $0 to give you this beloved knowledge here. And yeah, it's been your boy Miguel. See you on the next one.